Teams, and you played in plenty of them, able to absorb in-game pressure and then, when it matters, get the job done. Abby, down to you.
Thanks, JB. We are here with Clayton, Oliver, and Clayton, congratulations on the win. The Bombers certainly tested you, but a 3-0 start to the season, you've got to be happy with that.
Very happy, very happy. The boys playing pretty well. Essendon played by night, took it to us for a fair bit of the game, but yeah, it was nice to win in the end.
How good was it to see the big weed? Sam Wiedemann come in, a late inclusion, unfortunately at the expense of Benny Brown, but he earned the opportunity to come in and play his role. And 4 goals, 3, 7 marks, he performed really well.
Weirdo got drafted with me, and he's been in that team a fair bit. He's been working real hard all summer. Probably been the best pre-season he's had for a while, and he looks unbelievable. He's come in, slotted in. Yeah, 7 marks, 4 goals, 3, unbelievable. I love playing with him.
What about the depth of this midfield group? 38 touches for you tonight. I think Brayshaw had 34, and Petrarca a little bit down to what we're used to seeing, but you've just got so much depth that if one's down, the others are there to pick it up. Yeah,
I think Track got a bit of a run with roll tonight, and I think that's what happens to our team. Whoever's playing well, they sort of get shut down a little bit, and then next person plays well, so everyone pops up. We've got Tommy Sparrow, Jimmy Jordan, Harmsy. So many people coming through there, and we always take in turns. I think it's the beauty of our football club at the moment.
A very well-balanced side. Congratulations on the win. Go and enjoy it with the boys.
Thanks, Ab. Just mentioning Angus Brayshaw, he's taken 20 marks in that game. That's the most since Nick Riewoldt in 2016.
But he's everywhere. He's one of those workhorses that everyone loves to play with. He's just so reliable. Just gets to the right spot every time.
Nick Riewoldt watching, we'll be going to give you a spell. Most of mine were contested. They weren't little sideways chest marks, but it was a good game from number 10, and he had some mates. Simon Goodwin happy. Got real cattle to come back into that back half too, as we said. Salem, Lever, Petty, all to return. Ben Brown out of tonight's side, so it's been a good night for the Demons. Ab, back to you.
Thanks, JB. We've got Ed Langdon down here at ground level, and Ed, well done on the win. Because what's the most pleasing aspect in the way that your boys ran it out in that final term?
Probably the way we stuck it out. It was a scrappy game. They came to play. We knew how they were going to play, and they probably forced us into a game we didn't want to play, but we held firm, and it's great to win that one.
And I need to ask you about that goal. You made the footy talk with the Nana from the boundary. I think you even surprised yourself, but talk us through it.
Yeah, that was outrageous. One of those lucky ones that somehow just goes in.
See it right there. What were you thinking?
Well, it's defying physics. The football shouldn't go that way, but I got lucky, so it's always nice to get on them.
Well, as I said, you made the footy talk, and it was unbelievable to watch. But defensively as well, we know that you're down some of your stars in the likes of Lever and Hibbert and Salem, but Jake Bowie, fresh off his Rising Star nomination last week, what has he brought to the footy club?
Yeah, he's brought a lot. He's brought a lot of really good composed ball use. Got a lot of great players down there, but we're probably lacking that precision kick. He hasn't lost a game of AFL footy yet, so we've got to try and keep the record rolling for him. But no, he's so composed for a 10-game player or whatever he is now. It's great to see. He's going to be a good player.
Well done. A great win, a great goal. Go and enjoy it with the fans.
Cheers.
Got the job done in the end, did the Demons, to remain undefeated for season 2022, and the Bombers yet to open their account. Got a little bit closer towards the various parts of that second half, but they had enough in reserve, and when you look through some of the numbers, it could easily have been a bigger margin, but they got there in the end. Essendon had their opportunities. They're pretty efficient, but that efficiency wasn't going to stand up in the end against a side of this quality, and they got there in the end, Bucks.
I think we were all pretty happy to see the game open up after half-time, and it was a pretty dour struggle before that, with just the 7 goals in the first half. But then to see that open up, and Essendon had to score in some shape or form, and I think that opened the game up. Their capacity to move the ball a little bit better opened the game up, and brought Melbourne's ball use and finished back into it as well.
Good sign that they can do what they did, Brownie. It'll get them at some stage, of course. You're not going to go through a year undefeated, but they had enough in reserve. It was sloppy, though.
Yeah, it was. And you do go through the periods like that. They're coming off the premiership last year, and, they're going to have their ups and downs, especially early in the season. they looked like their heads just weren't quite in the game. And obviously they sharpened up when they were challenged. They were challenged a couple of times, actually. They were, again, in the halfway through that last quarter, and they were able to just settle with that Spargo goal. But it was probably an inconsistent display tonight. Not a great spectacle of AFL, but the second half at least was a lot better, and Melbourne kicked 10 goals in the second half.
You know, it was just a human performance from the D's, I think, because we expect the very best sides to come out and be the very best sides all the time, 100% of the time, and it's not realistic because it's a bloody hard game to play and it's hard to give great effort all the time. But the sign of a really good team is they just flexed at the right moment and they got the job done. And
when you play poorly, you win by 5 goals against an opposition who were pretty determined. I mean, they had everything to play for. They've got their backs against the wall. They had a young side. I think they went in with a dour plan. I think it was parking the bus early. Yeah. You know, they only had 39 inside 50s by the end of the game, so they weren't thinking about attacking.
Except for when they got back within, Peter Wright kicks that goal and they get back within a goal.
And then Durham drops a mark.
Durham dropped a mark, so they were coming really hard late, and obviously they expanded they opened up their game style, of course, because they had to hit the scoreboard. But, you know, it wasn't without some challenges for the D's.
Kicked 5 goals in that last quarter. When you look at the scoreline, they would have been thinking we were going to try and keep them to 12. So they weren't too far away from where they needed to be. It was just that they had some inefficiencies as well. Peter Wright stood up big time. Dylan Sheila in the last quarter for the centre bounce, got things going. So it gave them a look and gave them a chance.
I always thought as a player and as a leader, these were really good learning games because you didn't come out and you didn't blow the opposition away. You know, you learned that if you're not quite there mentally and physically, that you give other sides an opportunity. If they're not, you know, they might not be up to your level, but I think a lot of learnings to take out of it for the D's.
We're going to get the song, we're going to give a quick wrap, and then we're going to cross to the showdown, and then we'll be back to wrap up both games as well. So still plenty to come tonight. These boys, Christian Petrarca had a night that, you look at his numbers and you go, geez, he's had quite a night. He's had 21 and whatever, kicked in miracle goal, but Oliver gets the job done in his absence. Brayshaw was magnificent cross half-back. So, I mean, they're premiers. They're reigning premiers for a reason. They've got depth and they've got good players that come in and cover.
I think, as you put it, Roo, like they're learning games and what you're able to do and say, well, OK, if player A, if you do your job a little bit better, then you help the players around you and then we all find that chemistry. And there wasn't a lot of chemistry in what Melbourne did. It wasn't clean, it didn't click, but they were able to stay with it long enough and have those periods of breakthrough, especially in the second half, to be able to get the win.
I think they'll enjoy it. I think they're going to enjoy this every win they do. So they get the job done by 29 points. They remain undefeated for the season and they'll take them and bank them. And it's a nice way to start the season to the showdown very, very shortly. But let's get through a bit of a review. The KFC player of the match, pretty obvious in the end. I mean, there were some really good performers out there, but this bloke, we talked about midfield matchups, we talked about who goes to who, is there going to be a tag, isn't there going to be a tag? In the end, he's the best player on the ground because he had 38 touches. He whacked it inside 50 15 times for a career high, got career high metres gained. It's a pretty all-round performance.
Killed with 1,000 cuts, didn't he? He just kept coming. He was the player in the first 10 minutes that really set the game up for Melbourne and looked like he was most damaging. Why didn't they tag him, Gas?
Yeah, why didn't they? Why didn't they lean on him?
I told you why before the game.
Why didn't they tag him?
I told you why before the game. But on a night when not many blokes were clean, he stood out.
Yeah.
He's just a one-grab player all the time and he finds time and space where others don't because he just never fumbles.
His standard of play is exceptionally high and has been for a long time.
Kicking's improved too, guys.
Yeah, well, and then you get this guy who had such a celebrated second half of last year in a magnificent grand final because he goes and plays a role. Goes and plays a role behind the footy. He's had intercept possessions. He took 20 marks.
20 marks.
I thought
he was the most... Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was the most consistent player on the ground for the... I thought his performance all night was really solid. Had some intercept possessions as well. He was good around the stoppages, helping organise. Even though he's classed as a half-backer, he was actually coming up on the high half-forwards from Essendon. So I thought his game was brilliant, as was Langdon. So you could argue the two wingers gave very good service for Melbourne tonight.
You've kicked some miracle goals in your time. I remember sitting back on the couch applauding. Did you kick a better one than this?
Don't think so.
He didn't mean it though, did he?
Oh,
he didn't mean to kick that inside out banana.
I don't.
He was probably going the top of the goal square, wasn't he?
I think so. If you're kicking it that, like, if you're kicking that banana from there, it's...
Banana, the end of it's banana. It's always
one of those
come
bananas,
back.
Just when it dies, it just comes back the other way a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'm saying he didn't sum that up in that split second. He may have.
He might still win a car though, Gaz. It doesn't matter if you mean it or not. You still get to drive away with a car, don't you?
He's given it to your old teammate. I can't believe I've done it.
Yeah, Acker.
The Acker celebration.
That's right.
Yeah,
just minus the handstand.
Ford Ranger he'd get if he won, of course. If they had a Ford Ranger to give away. We talked about some hard running stuff that you showed, the DNA, which is, you know, really nice look at what these players do and what's expected of them at various stages throughout a game. Spargo's hard running again today was there to see.
Plus the jumping up and down as well.
We love the jump up and down.
Yeah, he gets a bit excited, doesn't he? But the key, I think, with Melbourne, with their... Look at him jumping around. I'm open, boys, I'm open. Get it to me. They get there in the end. But the key, I think, with their wingers and their flankers is it's the width. They hold their width really well, which is... It's the shortest path, isn't it, between the goals, is to just hold your width like that.
The biggest improvement in Melbourne over the last couple of years has been their capacity to maintain shape. They've always been a very good little circle side. They beads to the honeypot, and we always felt like you could get them. If you matched them there, that you could get outside them. But they've improved on their transition shape, both in offence and defence, in the last couple of years, and become a better side from them.
We were talking about it, Bucks, upstairs. Early in the last quarter, you looked at the numbers of those Melbourne flankers, and they were all quiet. They only had touched that last 10 minutes, though. They were very influential. Neil Bourne was involved as well, Spargo. So it just shows their fitness. They just continue to work and they get the rewards in the end.
You do enough, Sam Wiedemann, to maintain his spot in this side?
I thought so.
Four goals?
4 goals. In a pretty low-scoring game. So 4-3. Pretty low scoring up until the last couple of minutes. Well done to him. So contested marks was fantastic. 4-3, would have liked to walk away with half a dozen, maybe Bucks, but I think he's done enough to stay in the side. And I think that was a really good performance. He got himself to contest and he played with presence.
Well, he kicked 1-3 in the first half when scoring was hard to come by. If you flip that and he's 3-1 at half-time, he's probably the best player on the field because he took his opportunities. The guy on the other team, Peter Wright, extremely damaging and looked like he was going to bring the game back in Essendon's favour.
So Tom McDonald has six possessions, takes 3 marks and kicks a goal, lays 1 tackle.
So I don't think it's Wiedemann out for Brown.
No.
He's a Brown in for McDonald.
I think that's the match. That's the match race we've got going on at the moment.
There's a reason that Tom McDonald's been favoured, though. He's just such a workhorse to get up and back. He can go in behind the ball at a pinch if needed. And remember, he was out of favour a couple of years ago, just did not get a game, and then worked back into favour. And I think he's just someone that the teammates love to play with.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting decision.
Is it the right time?
Because, especially with their back line a bit understaffed at the moment, especially the key defenders. They like having McDonald to be able to push back there if they have to, which we saw in round 1 against the Dogs.
That's a good point. That's a good. Whilst you've got a back line that's been depleted, it's nice to have him there as a spare in case Tomlinson isn't getting the job done.
The troops are coming, though.
They're coming. It's a very nice segue. Yeah, Johnny Ralph's got all the news on who Melbourne might welcome back in the coming weeks, Ralphie.
Hello, guys. Yeah, news not only on the COVID issues, but also a couple of those defenders unbeaten without a care of the world, and also, of course, with 2 of those defenders about to come back. So Melbourne football boss Alan Richardson tells me tonight that Jake Lever, off that snap plantar fascia, had his best session yet yesterday on Thursday at Amy Stadium. So the pain of those injuries can linger for 5 and 6 weeks. It's not just as easy as snapping it and then you play the next day. So if he's not available next week against Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, it'll only be a day or 2 short and he will play in round 6. And then Harry Petty will also be a test off his calf injury. You think he's probably a round 6 return as well. Now, just on Ben Brown. So he was a COVID close contact. Now, he only gets out of quarantine on Thursday. It's an away game. He wouldn't have trained for a week. And so potentially he could fly over on the day, but you just get the feeling that you've got this young player in Sam Wiedemann. Why wouldn't you just use discretion as the better part of valour and just give Ben Brown another week? Don't have to take any chances there at all. So, of course, Essendon is 0-3, but Adelaide, Fremantle and Collingwood to come. Their season is not done yet. So Anthony McDonald, Tippin Woody and Zach Reid will both play pretty heavily managed minutes tomorrow in the VFL. They'll be a few more weeks away. Josh Marnie says that Nick Cox off his ankle will also be available next week, but pretty much this is the team that needs to turn it around in the next 3 weeks and get that season back on track.
Nice work, Ralphie. Thanks very much. We are going to go to a break. Showdown 51 is underway. We're going to cross to Adelaide after the break, but as we go to the break, big build-up, big talking point. Everyone's talking about it. These three boys, Saturday night, best on ground. I cannot wait.
Coming to Saturday night's Best on Ground.
Sounds delicious.
Plenty of fun.
I want you visualising being 10 goals down halfway through the second quarter.
Plenty of footy.
As a coach, we've got no problem with that at all.
And you won't believe what we've done to Nathan Buckley.
These two bowheads were out of line.
Come join us right after the footy on Best on Ground.
Drink cans and play the next day.
So, you think it's just a game? It's dedication, passion and community. Just a game? Would you say that to them? It's a new era and a brand new home. It's more than just a game. It's netball.
Showdown 51 heating up. We're going to cross to Adelaide very, very shortly. Before we do, we're going to go to Kath Loughnan with the Melbourne captain, Max Gawn.
Maxie, congratulations, 3-0. How would you sum up that win? Funny old first half, but the game opened right up in the third.
Goody said that the game was sort of our way in the first half. We just weren't cashing in. Yeah. But the players knew that we weren't sort of playing our brand. At least the coach was thinking we were playing our brand, but when we were out there, we sort of got sucked into their game a little bit. Every time we got the ball, we went really, really quick, which is probably not us. And then we were able to settle a little bit in the third quarter. They still come, and good teams come, and Peter Wright looked like he was going to win the game at some point there, but we were able to settle again at the end and win the game of footy.
Yeah, so what were discussions like at half-time? Because Essendon had fought back on the scoreboard, but you still looked in control of play.
Yeah, so it was that. So we get the ball inside our forward 50, but what we do with it then. And we've done a lot of work with that since 2020, 2019, when that was a really bad stat for us. And last year we were able to cash in a lot, and this year we have been as well, but just a slow start to the game. But we saw Weeds was able to get on the end of a few, which is one of the best stories I've seen for a while. And Benny Brown, hopefully coming back next week or the week after, leaves us with a little bit of an interesting dilemma there, but it's a good dilemma to have.
Yes, so take me into the mind of the selection committee. How did you assess Sam Wiedemann's night? Pretty impressive given he got the late call up, game 50, and he kicks 4.
I'm so proud of him. He's fought tirelessly ever since, and Brownie took his spot last year, and Brownie deserved that. He worked his ass off and was able to get and play some really good finals footy, but Weeds has come back this off-season really, really hungry. He's been really, really fit.
Careful, he's close to you.
Yeah, he's
he can
right
hear
here.
you.
Oh, he's the best looking person I've seen in my life. For him to come out there and do what he did today, it just makes me so proud.
And then what about all the talk this week about whether to tag Christian Petrarca, and Clayton Oliver has the game he does. So the next week's probably all going to be about whether to tag Clayton Oliver.
Yeah, we've had an interesting sort of midfield dilemma going on. They were sort of tagging track, and we were sort of looking at Parrish a tiny bit, and then Stringer and Claz seemed to be the two that were getting off the leash a little bit. It's an interesting battle midfields. We have 2 really good ones, or 3 with Jack and Harmsy and Tom Sparrow come in and play their role. But Port have Boak and Ollie Wines, and that's what we're coming against this week. So it's just the same every single week. Everyone's got 1 or 2.
Finally, Ed Langdon's goal in the last quarter, goal of the year contender.
It can't be if you don't mean it. So there's no way he meant that. I've watched a lot of Ed Langdon football. I'm his #1 fan, but there's no way he meant that.
So you're just saying full-on fluke.
Yeah, complete fluke.
Maxie, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maxie. Has put that to bed once.
Might have cost him a car then.
No, he didn't mean it, so you can't win it if you
Might
don't
have
mean
cost him
it.
a car.
Air goods, Maxie.
He's flying.
He's a ripper.
He works for Nova too, Gaz. We got him on the radio in the mornings. What happened to
What's going on here?
What happened? Couldn't you get him over at SEN?
What is happening right now?